The IDF says it will continue hitting Hezbollah targets in Lebanon. The Lebanese Red Crescent reports hundreds of civilians have been killed in the latest round of Israeli strikes on Beirut and southern Lebanon. ABC News contributor and former UK security official Steve Hill is here for more. So, Steve, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the ceasefire does not include Lebanon. Pakistan's Prime Minister says it does. Could that jeopardize this deal?
I think it's just one of the 10 points that Iran has put forward where there is a wide gap between the two sides. And we also have to remind ourselves that there is a third actor here, Israel, who will do their own thing if they think it's in their own national interest. This one Hezbollah issue, I don't think that it's a deal breaker in the way that some of the other 10 points are. But clearly, the Iranians will be pushing at the moment for this maximalist position. This doesn't feel like it's one that will stop a full agreement, but it is just one of the areas where there's a huge gap between the two sides.
Let's talk about another point in this 10-point deal here, uranium. So Iran's 10-point plan allows them to enrich uranium. Trump says he's not going to let that happen. How critical is that sticking point?
I think that is the key sticking point, Perry. I think you're absolutely right. The kind of absolutely non-negotiable points to me would feel to be, first of all, the uranium enrichment. Secondly, the idea that the US should pay compensation, withdraw from the region feels absolutely unrealistic. And thirdly, opening up the Strait of Hormuz. That is going to also be a key negotiating point. There are gaps beyond those, including what we just spoke about, but those are going to be the three. This was a war that was first and foremost fought in order to stop that enrichment process, that potential capability to getting an atomic bomb. And that feels to me to be the one key area where the US will not yield at all.
It appears we're getting some mixed messaging from the U.S. in terms of the Strait of Hormuz. So Secretary Hegseth says it's time for the rest of the world to step up to safeguard the strait. But President Trump has suggested a joint venture between the U.S. and Iran. What would a joint venture even look like?
Well, one of the striking elements of the conflict so far has been the reluctance, the refusal of close US allies to join in what they've seen as to be a sort of potentially illegal and certainly ill-judged venture. But opening up the Strait of Hormuz, upholding international law, the law of the sea, feels like an area where actually all of those allies could come in and play a role. But let's be clear, the role that they would play would be minor. It would be to some extent performative. What the US can achieve with its huge military might that we've seen again and again over recent months won't be added to substantially. It will be a political gesture more than a military gesture, as we kind of either push back on the Iranians and maybe have convoys with oil tankers. At the moment, even though formally the Strait of Hormuz may be open, what we're not seeing are ships and oil tankers going through the Strait of Hormuz. That's what we now see.
All right, Steve Hill, thank you for your time.